Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to Creative Grandma's channel. It's Stitch of the Week time and this week's stitch is called the 3D Crosshatch stitch. This is a very easy stitch pattern with a 1-row repeat. You're going to do 2 base rows and then you're going to repeat row 3 over and over for however long you want your project. So this is the right side of the work, and you can see here this white stitch here is the predominant stitch, which sticks up and gives it a little bit of texture. And when you turn it over, it's going to be reversed. This stitch is going to be the predominant stitch with the darker color. So this is if you're using 2 different colors, changing colors every row. Now I got a little carried away with this pattern and I made 4 samples because I was having so much fun with it. But again, it's a 3D stitch pattern where it has a more solid feel to it, where the stitches are coming over instead of all the stitches being into that chain space. We're actually going into the chains and keeping those stitches in place and spreading them across. So this is my first sample, and this sample was made changing colors every row, and I used 2 different colors. I used a white and then I used a multicolor. My second sample, this is a little sample, but I just wanted to see what it looked like with a multicolor. So the pattern kind of disappears when you use short color bursts, but it still has that beautiful texture. You can see the texture in the pattern, and then when you flip it over, it looks exactly the same. So that is the second sample using a multicolor. And then I always like to make a pure white sample because it's so classic. Most patterns, when you use basic solid white, it just gives it a very elegant, classy look. So you can see the texture in the pattern. So this is the front, and then when you turn it over, this is the back. So I have one more sample to show you. So this is my 4th sample, and I wanted to see what it would look like using 3 different colors. And then I thought, well, 4th of July is coming in a few months, and this would give you plenty of time if you wanted to make a 4th of July afghan. These are the Premier Basics, those solid colors, just using their red, white, and blue. This is the front. And when you turn it over, this is the back. So it's beautiful no matter what side is facing on this afghan. Just a really pretty pattern. So let's go over the stitch multiple. So now I want to go over the stitch multiple. Now the stitch multiple is a multiple of 7 plus 5, and then you're going to add another 3 chains for the foundation chain. So I have an example on the pattern, and I'll leave the link to this pattern. This is a free pattern. You click the link, it'll take you to our website, and you can see all the Stitch of the Week patterns. They're all free. You can download one, you can download them all. So let me just go over this stitch multiple because it's a little more complicated than most, and for new crocheters it might confuse you. So every time I do a stitch multiple, I try to put an example. So here you're taking the stitch multiple of 7. So when you look at the stitch multiple, you concentrate on the multiple of 7. This is the number you're going to use to start your chain. So you're going to take the multiple of 7 and you're going to crochet 7 chains, 7 more chains, 7 more, and you're going to continue chaining in multiples of 7 until you get it to the size you want. Then you need to add 5 more chains. Once you add the 5 chains, then you need to add an additional 3 chains for the foundation chain. So in my example here, you're taking 7. We're going to multiply that by 4. It gives you a chain of 28 chains. Then you need to add 5 more, which will give you 33 chains, and then you just need to add 3 more chains for the foundation chain for a total of 36 chains. So for the sample today, I'm going to make a smaller sample. I want to take the 7 and we're going to times that by 3, and that's going to equal 21. Then we're going to add 5 more chains, and that will give us a chain of 26. And then we want to add 3 more chains. So we're going to be chaining a total of 29 stitches, and I'm writing upside down, so that's why I was having a little bit of trouble writing. So for today's tutorial, you want to make a chain of 29. Again, that's the multiple of 7 times 3 for 21. Then you're going to add 5 more chains for a total of 26. And then you're going to add 3, which gives you your starting chain of 29 for our swatch today. So that again is how you determine your multiple for wanting to make an afghan or a scarf or whatever you want to make. So today we're going to be chaining 29. I'm going to be using the Premier Basic. This is a number 4 worsted weight yarn, and this is color 1115-65. This is one of the new colors, Pale Orchid. And when you look on your yarn label, it's going to tell you what hook size is recommended for the yarn. It says a size I9. So today I'm using a size I9 or 5.5 millimeter. So grab whatever yarn you want to use and grab whatever hook size is recommended for your yarn label for the best results. So I have my yarn attached to my hook, and I just used a double knot. You can start your project in whichever manner you're comfortable with. And we're going to start and chain 29. You're going to yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop on your hook, and this creates your first chain. The loop on your hook does not count as a chain. That's 1. Yarn over, pull through, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue until you chain 29, and I'll be back and we'll start row 1. I'm back. I have my 29 chains, and now I'm ready to begin row 1. For row 1, we're going to skip the first 3 chains. That will count as our beginning double crochet. And now we're going to work 2 double crochet into the 4th chain from hook. You're going to yarn over, skip 1, 2, 3 chains, insert into the 4th chain from hook, yarn over, pull through that chain. You have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. That's how you do a double crochet. We're going to work 1 more double crochet into that same chain, yarn over, insert back into that chain, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So now we're ready to begin our repeat. So if you need help, you'll click back to this portion of the video. You'll work from where I say this is the start of the repeat until I say this is the end of the repeat, and you'll repeat that across to the last 4 chain. So let's begin. We're going to skip the next 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to single crochet into this next chain. Insert into that chain, yarn over, pull through the chain. You have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. That's how you do a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 chain. So make sure that sometimes when your stitches are in that chain, it'll be back towards the right side. So make sure you're not going into that same chain as your stitch. Make sure you skip that stitch that the stitch is worked in. You're going to double crochet into the next stitch. That's 1. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 2, and then double crochet into the next chain, and that is 3, and that is the end of the repeat. And again, we're going to repeat that across to within the last 4 chains. So let's do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the next chain. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 chain. yarn over, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. That's one, double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the next chain. And that is the end of the repeat, and you can see how your repeat is forming. So I'm going to go ahead and work right across the sample with you. So let's go ahead and do that repeat again. You're going to skip the next 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, single crochet into that next chain. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to double crochet, 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 chain. Double crochet into the next chain. That's 1. Double crochet into the next chain. That's 2. Double crochet into the next chain. And that's 3. And that is the end of the repeat, and you're going to repeat that across until you get to the last 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're already over to the end of our sample, but if you're working on a longer project like an afghan, then you just click back on the video and you're going to repeat. You're going to skip 3 chains, you're going to single crochet into that next chain, chain 3, and then work 1 double crochet in each chain until you get over to those last 4 chains. So now we're going to go ahead and finish row 1. We're going to skip the next 3 chains, and you're going to work 1 single crochet into this last chain. So skip 3 chain, insert into the last chain, work 1 single crochet. Row 1 is finished, and this is what your work should look like. Now, if you're new to crocheting, or even if you're more experienced, if you have trouble starting and ending your row, then go ahead and put a stitch marker into this last stitch, and then go back to the beginning of the row and put a stitch marker right into the top of that chain 3. And then when you come back across your work, you're going to know where the end of your row is. And when you start the next row, you're going to know where your first stitch is. So my recommendation is, when you're new to crocheting, always use those stitch markers in the first and last stitch. And then as you get more experienced, you're not going to need them. So let's go ahead and start row 2. Row 2, we're going to chain 3. This beginning chain 3 will count as our first double crochet. You're going to turn your work, and now we're going to work 2 double crochet into this very first stitch. So if you have a stitch marker in here, you're going to know this is the stitch we're going to be working in, that first single crochet stitch. And you can count down 1, 2, 3, and then you'll know this is where you want to put your stitches. You're going to yarn over, insert into that first single crochet, work 2 double crochet. There's 1, yarn over, insert back into that same beginning stitch, work your second double crochet. So now we're ready to start our repeat. So again, if you need help, just click back on the video. This is the start of the repeat for row 2. We're going to begin, and we're going to skip the next 2 double crochet, 1, 2, and we're going to work a front post single crochet around this next double crochet. So again, we're going to skip 1, 2 double crochet. You're going to insert your hook from front to back, all the way to the back, and then from the back, you're going to come back to the front. So you're just putting your hook under the post of this stitch, and then we're going to work a single crochet. Yarn over the hook, pull it underneath the post of that stitch, and pull your hook up. You're going to have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That's how you do a front post single crochet. So basically it's just a single crochet. It's just telling you that you're going from front to back and back to front, so you're working the stitch on the front post of the stitch. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip this first chain of this chain 3 space, so you may want to pull your work back, or you can look for your single crochet and count back to the second stitch, 1, 2. So it doesn't matter as long as you're going into the center chain first. So we're going to work 1 double crochet into the second and third chain of that chain 3 space. So again, you're going to yarn over, you're going to skip the first chain of the chain 3, insert into the center chain, work a double crochet, and you're going right through the chain. You want this chain to hold that stitch in place. Sometimes when they do the 3D stitch, they go in this opening and then your stitches clump together. We want to spread these out and we want our stitches to stay in place. That's why we're working right inside the chain. You're going to double crochet into the very next chain. And when you look at your work, you may have to turn it to see your stitches. You may have to really flip it over because your top of your stitches are over here. And when you're looking on the wrong side, it's hard to see your stitches. So your single crochet is right here. It's a small stitch, or turn your work and look for that next stitch. Double crochet into that next single crochet stitch. Now make sure when you insert into that stitch, you're going under both of those top 2 loops. Work your double crochet, and that is the end of the repeat. So let's go ahead and do the repeat again. We're going to skip the next 2 double crochet. You're going to work a front post single crochet around this next double crochet. Insert your hook from front to back and back to front. You're just going underneath the post of that stitch, and then work a single crochet. Yarn over the hook, pull it underneath and around the post of that stitch. You have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to skip the first chain of that chain 3 space, and you're going to work a double crochet into that center stitch. Double crochet into the next chain. Again, we're going right through the chain, and the chain is holding those stitches in place. Now we're going to work a double crochet into that single crochet stitch. Again, if you're not sure, turn your work and look for the top 2 loops of that next stitch. Yarn over, insert into that single crochet stitch, going under both of those top 2 loops, work your double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So again, you can see how your pattern is forming. So let's go ahead and do the repeat one more time. You're going to skip the next 2 double crochet, insert from front to back, back to front around that next double crochet, yarn over, pull underneath and around that stitch. You have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You just worked your front post single crochet. You're going to chain 3. Now if you need to, use your finger and just stick your finger in there so you can see those chains. We're going to skip the first chain and work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 chains. So yarn over, skip the first chain, insert into the center chain, work a double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain. Now we're going to work a double crochet into that next single crochet stitch. So that is the end of the repeat. So if you're working on a larger project, then go ahead and click back on the video, and you're just going to repeat that across to your last 2 double crochet and turning chain. So to end the row, we're going to skip the 2 double crochet, and we're going to single crochet between the skip 2 and that turning chain. You're just going to go right into that space. Again, you're going to skip 2 double crochet, insert underneath that turning chain, work a single crochet. And that is the end of row 2. So now we're ready to begin row 3. Row 3 is going to be our repeat row. This is a 1 row repeat. We did our 2 base rows, and now we're getting ready to start row 3. So to begin row 3, we're going to chain 3, and you're going to turn your work. Our beginning chain 3 counts as the first double crochet. We're going to work 2 double crochet into this first stitch, yarn over, insert underneath the top 2 loops of that first single crochet, work a double crochet. That's 1, double crochet back into that same space. Now we're ready to begin the repeat. We're going to skip the first 2 double crochet, and we're going to work a front post single crochet around the post of this next stitch. Insert from front to back, back to front underneath the post of that stitch, work a single crochet. You're going to chain 3. You're going to take your finger and kind of open that space up. You're going to skip the first chain, and we're going to double crochet in each of the next 2 chains. Yarn over, skip the first chain, double crochet into that center or second chain, double crochet into that next chain. So now when you look at your work, you're going to have your front post single crochet here. So we're going to work a double crochet, so yarn over, insert right underneath the top 2 loops of that front post single crochet, work a double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So it's the same as row 2, only this is a front post instead of a single crochet, but you're still double crocheting into the top of that stitch. So let's go ahead and do our repeat again. You're going to skip the first 2 double crochet. You're going to work a front post single crochet around that next double crochet. You're going to chain 3. Use your finger and open that chain 3 space up. You're going to skip the first chain, yarn over, insert into that second chain, work a double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain, and then when you look at your work, we're going to double crochet into the top of that next front post double crochet, and you're going under the top 2 loops. And that is the end of the repeat. So we have 1 more repeat to go, so let's go ahead and do it again. You're going to skip the first 2 double crochet, front post single crochet around the next double crochet, chain 3, use your finger, open up that chain 3 space. You're going to skip the first chain, yarn over, insert into the center chain or that second chain, work a double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the top of that front post single crochet, and you're going under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. This is what your work should look like. Again, if you're working on a larger project, then just click back on the video and just keep repeating that pattern across until you get to the ending 2 double crochet and that turning chain 3 space. So now to end the row, you're going to skip the next 2 double crochet. You're going to insert your hook between the skip 2 double crochet and that ending turning chain 3 right into that space. Work a single crochet. So row 3 is finished. Row 3 is your repeat row, so you're just going to keep repeating row 3 back and forth until you get your project to the length you want. So those again are the 4 samples I made. You can see that so many different looks from just the same stitch pattern, and it's all due to just how you decide to put your color changes together. I just want to remind everyone all my Stitch of the Week patterns are free. You can click the link, go to creativegrandma.net, click on Stitch of the Week, and then you can scroll down and see all the Stitch of the Week patterns I have available. You can download one, you can download them all. It's just a great stitch library resource for you when you're looking for a new stitch pattern. So again, thank you everybody for stopping by and spending some time with me. So until next time, stay inspired and happy crocheting.